Tommy,
What is up, man?
how are you, man? I am back in Long Island.
Yeah, dude, I can see a little. What's that? If you want to peek up real quick and let me see that 34. Aren't they representing like third in the division still?
We are second in the division,
Oh,
and
but
we
how many
are
games
in the
are
wild card lead.
Oh, okay. But I mean,
Yeah.
the division's pretty much wrapped up. I mean, knock on wood. But
We'll see. There's plenty enough time to go on a losing streak, that's for sure.
oh yeah, Detroit's gonna hand it to us 6 times over the next week.
They might. You never know.
No, no.
Are you ready to start off another episode?
I am, man. Sorry, my dog's going crazy.
That's all right. He's part of the crew. He has things to
Part of the
say
crew. You
too,
want
I'm
to come up here,
sure.
buddy?
Yeah, bring him on before we get started.
Come up here. Come on.
Look at this guy.
Here he is. There's Moose.
Oh, look at it. We have a guest appearance tonight.
Guest appearance from Moose.
Moose.
He's a good boy.
Alrighty, let's go.
Agility from the champion. Oh, deep six! That could be it. Delivers this deep six.
Good evening. This is episode 72. We are back. I am back home from Chicago. I'm back home in New York. What a week it was. Tommy, how you doing tonight?
Man, I had the day off, so I am doing great. Let me tell you, it's been a nice, relaxing day. There's football on. I mean, I got the game on in the background. This is it's a good little Thursday. The weekend's gonna be good. Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. Episode 72, dude. That's crazy.
72. 3 more until we get to 75, and we'll see what we have as far as guests come on. If not, we'll do a nice little special episode.
Yeah, might have to bring back the watch along if we ever can find the time to do it.
Oh, speaking of time, the trip in Chicago for All Out weekend was just absolutely non-stopped. And it did not really hit me hard until the day of coming back home. Traveling was so wiped, being up early in the morning, taking that 10 a.m. train, 10 a.m. plane back from Chicago to Baltimore, then a 2-hour layover, and then back to Long Island. I had to drop my buddy off. When we got to the airport, we had to wait for a taxi to get us 1 mile to the railroad station where my car is parked, dropped off my buddy, and it's just a long day. And then I had to work the next day, which was yesterday. I was tired. No time to really recoup, but today was my recoup today. I feel pretty good. Tomorrow, I'm basically ready to go back at it for the next 2 days of work. So that was that. Great trip in Chicago. Otherwise, let me tell you, we were not bored.
No.
We were not bored one bit. Dynamite Wednesday. We came to see you on Thursday. Rampage on Friday. Cubs game on Saturday. Our pre-show, which we had internet issues with that.
Man, that was a tough one. That was
a tough
I was
one to
I was
do.
starting to be like, not that I was against hosting it by myself, but after I think you came back and we had about 5 matches to talk through, and you came back like 10 minutes later, and I was ready to wrap up the show. I was done, man. That was a challenge.
Wow. And thankfully we learned from that, and the next day we went mobile. I found a nice 5G area to hop on my iPad and phone just to get the show in, man. All Out. Very important weekend. Before we get to that, though, there's some news surfacing lately. A bunch of reliable news sources such as Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp, John Alba confirming that Kevin Owens' contract is apparently up in January, which I found pretty interesting. He even posted on Twitter the coordinates of Mount Rushmore the other day.
The old, the old faction. See, maybe it's just me, and I've always thought this, but AEW is definitely the show for not WWE is fine. It's whatever. But AEW seems like the show for people who are so invested in wrestling. Not nerds sounds like the wrong word, but the people who like, in comic book movies when they put in like little small characters that only the diehard fans would know. Like AEW seems like that. Like the wrestlers talking about, like being the elite or Mount Rushmore, being an old tag team or Sting and Taz, kind of going at it to it's just the little things that they do that I really appreciate for the hardcore wrestling fan that I am.
Yeah. And you know what? I suspect you never know. I mean, he could be on the next wave of names to be released. He may just get released a little bit early. Then maybe not. They may, with everything going on with Bryan jumping, Cole jumping, Punk jump. Well, not Punk didn't jump. Took 7 years for that.
Yeah, but WWE been trying to get him for 7 years. So.
With Malachi Black, Andrade, Ruby Soho, all these names that are going over there.
I mean, it's not big names in these two, or these three: Paul White, Mark Henry, and Ric Flair. It seems like Ric Flair's going to make an appearance.
Ric Flair's hanging around the background, could show up at New York, and not to mention Christian, Matt Hardy.
I don't want to get on this because I know we got stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't understand the whole WWE or AEW is just WWE 2.0. Like, they obviously, the people want to be there. They're enjoying, getting the chance to feel like a wrestler again, have creative freedom, not be scripted in every sense. And it just seems like the kind of place that I don't remember who said it, but it was Foley. And I know we'll talk about Foley, but AEW is the more attractable option for most wrestlers now. Like, if you want to get paid, you get paid and you can be a star in WWE. But
if you want a quality career,
if you want to be a wrestler and enjoy what you do, if you're setting your life across for that, like, it's crazy to think how young this company is and is already atop that. And that, again, that's one person's opinion. That's mine, but
no, absolutely. Yeah. Mick Foley went on and saying that, if you want to be a wrestler, AEW is seemingly the viable option right now. But I'm led to believe that with all these jumps that are going on, I don't think WWE lets Kevin Owens out of his contract before January. I think
he's not.
Kevin Owens is fulfilling that contract. I think WWE will see to that. They're gonna kind of stop the bleeding a little bit with some of their guys going over there.
Yeah, one of the things I'd really like to see is, I think they did it because we haven't really seen Shane in a fat minute. When Shane and Kevin had that ladder match on the first episode of SmackDown on Fox. Yeah. I've heard everything about good from Adam Cole. I've heard everything good from Daniel Bryan. It's just creative differences or something like that. But I would love to see, because of how good, and Bryan got it too. Bryan got the WrestleMania match. Adam Cole obviously has been a big fixture in NXT for the last few years. Kevin Owens deserves a big go-away match, whether that's, a ladder match with honestly, give me him and Sami Zayn one more time, because it might end up being the last time, or Sami Zayn could go to AEW, which would be great. But I just feel like he's deserving of a final match, of a good match, because of the work that he's done with WWE. He's been an integral part of the last 7 years. Since he joined NXT, I want to say.
Right around 2015, I think it was, with NXT. Yeah. And then I think he came on roster around 2017, because I think we were up to KO 5 or KO 4, KO Mania 4. So that would be
KO Mania 3 was
I think it would have been last year.
33. I think his first WrestleMania was 31.
No, his first WrestleMania was.
He was in that Intercontinental.
Darn it, Tommy! Now you're making me think.
He was in the ladder match at Mania 32.
Yes, he was at 32.
I don't know if that was KO Mania 2 or
That was KO. That was that may have been the first KO Mania.
let's look. I'll pull it up in the
Yeah.
background. We'll move on.
Anyway, yeah. So it's the next couple months are gonna be pretty interesting to see what happens, and then somebody ran it by me today that Bray Wyatt could be showing up very soon. We're assuming Full Gear. Which could make sense because we're seeing dissension in the Dark Order. So let that storyline play out a little bit, and then have a leader arise, so to speak, to unite the faction. A leader in Bray Wyatt. I know you don't like it, but
no, okay.
It's a nod. It's a nod to Brody Lee, though,
yes,
and I think his character fits it.
I think if there was one person that Brody Lee would want to do it, to be the leader.
I mean, unless you want Braun Strowman.
No, yes, but I just feel like Bray is. If there was one person, Bray's the guy. Out of respect, but again, this has to be done out of respect. Like, I need you to talk to Amanda Huber. I need you to talk to -1. Like, if you're going to have a main guy or a leader for the Dark Order, out of respect, I feel like it needs to go through the Huber family first. And I hope, and I really do think that they will make that, conscious decision. But yeah, man, I would be, I'm not shocked. I don't know where else he would fit. Bray Wyatt would fit. I think him and Malachi would have a good program, but I feel like Malachi's kind of being set apart. With having, maybe he'll face a bunch of the elite guys like he is with Cody, but yeah, man, Bray Wyatt coming into AEW would be really, really nice. It just worries me a little bit. The roster's great. It's enjoyable to watch. They keep adding these new pieces, but you can't do what WWE did. Yes, WWE's letting their guys go, but WWE signed a bunch of people in 2015, 2016, AJ Styles, all these independent guys, and that's where we're seeing a lot of these releases is just, they just don't have the money. Not that they don't have the money, they just can't pay them those long-term contracts or those big money contracts. So you can't keep signing all the guys that get released, the minute they leave WWE or Impact or anything. But Bray Wyatt's a big enough name for me to suffice with that.
So keeping our eye on that, possibly Full Gear. Triple H news came out yesterday about Triple H experiencing quote unquote a cardiac event from a week ago. Apparently, this was kept on a hush hush, which is good, fine. I mean, I guess you could say he probably had a heart attack, but they did not want to go into detail with that. But who knows? It's not for us to say. They didn't really go into any specific details as to why this may have happened. But yeah, Triple H had a cardiac event, and he's doing fine, which is good.
Good, very good.
But I think that kind of just leads me to believe that we will probably not see Triple H in the ring anymore.
Yeah, sadly.
Not anytime soon.
I feel like he'll still have a retirement match at some point in the next few years, but not this year. Not at WrestleMania. I say that, but I have seen him come back from some crazy ass injuries, and if they needed a storyline, I'm sure he could find a way to get back in there.
I'm sure Triple H has had a lot on his plate these most past recent months, so you don't know like what could have led to all this. That came out of surprise. It's pretty big news yesterday. But glad to hear he's doing well though, for sure. And talk a little bit about All Out and the debuts that we had really quick. So let me tell you, for those of you guys that saw our episode already on Sunday, bear with us. We're just kind of rehashing for the podcast. But all out, awesome event. Let me tell you, it's probably one of the best events I've been to in a very, very long time. There were some great notable events I've been to. WrestleMania 30, SummerSlam 2002, Brock versus Rock. And that Survivor Series that year was awesome as well. Actually, 2002 was generally overall a good year for wrestling. But yeah, some good. WrestleMania 24 had its moments with Shawn and Flair, Undertaker, Edge. Some good stuff there. Yeah.
Damn, man.
WrestleMania 26, but you had Shawn Michaels Undertaker retirement match with Shawn Michaels. A lot of different moments I've seen, but this one is like right there at the top. All Out was hot from the get-go. From the very beginning, opened up with that 10-man tag and a buy-in, and then the opening match with Miro defending his TV title. Oh gosh, who did he defend it against? I'm drawing a brain fart here.
Eddie Kingston, man.
Yeah, Eddie Kingston. So the crowd was so hot for Eddie Kingston. Let me tell you, I have a feeling that there's going to be a return match there of some sorts in 2 weeks, which Dynamite will be in Arthur Ashe. Next week is going to be in Newark, New Jersey. So they're going to be kind of like in my area, so to speak, the next 2 weeks. But David Smith says that Hangman should be the leader of the Dark Order. I don't know, Dave. They had that. They dragged that out too long.
Yeah.
So he's So I think they're kind of staring away from that for now. But now, as a result, there's dissension there. But anyway, All Out was hot. The great tag team match in the cage, nonstop. I told you on the show if there was one title that was going to change, I would have to choose the tag titles. I said that, and sure enough, it happened. I didn't see the women's title changing. Great match with Britt Baker defended against Chris Statlander. They both worked very hard. The women's battle royal was awesome. I did not see. I did not see the TV title. I was expecting Miro's wife to show up, make an appearance there.
Yeah.
So that, maybe another time. We saw the debut Ruby Soho, which was awesome. She came in hot. That was a prediction I called correct. And what else did we have going on? We had Kenny Omega, Christian, and CM Punk and Darby Allin. CM Punk in the ring for the first time in 7 years. Great. Like, I could not even tell for any ring rust. There was a little bit of a slow pace in the beginning, probably just to kind of,
the feet wet.
Yeah, so to speak, kind of, get it going, and to kind of pace themselves. So they paced themselves a little slow in the beginning. Darby Allin did a lot of work, but CM Punk sold very well for Darby. Great match. CM Punk getting the win there. And then the main event, Kenny Omega defending his title against Christian. And again, in another match that we knew that the title wasn't changing. Christian already had gotten his one up on Kenny Omega by taking the Impact title. Did not see the AEW title changing here. I can possibly see it changing in November, which we'll get to. But again, it all depends on who they have plans for. But Kenny Omega's had this title for at least 8 months now. Is that right around there? So, his title reign is kind of lengthy. Kenny Omega, by the way, voted as number one on PWI Top 500. Do you agree with that?
Over Roman.
Over Roman.
Surprising. Very surprising. And I'm sure that there was an outcry. I read a little bit of it. Omega deserves it. Obviously, he's been such a good champion. But I do think it is time to pull the trigger on somebody else. Whether that's, obviously we saw the feud with Bryan Danielson. Whether that's Hangman, which I still think it should be. Maybe it's somebody different. Maybe Full Gear is just going to be a complete random pay-per-view. Who knows? But
it still could be Hangman. I mean, but I'm just not too sure. It's been pretty quiet lately.
Yeah.
And Hangman's out on maternity leave too.
Yeah, they'll have to make a move for it at some point, but that's just so tough. Like, if it isn't Hangman, who's he gonna face? And and it'll probably be Bryan. And is Bryan gonna win the title in his first match?
It could. It absolutely could happen. So let me tell you something. The arena popped so loud for Bryan as Friday and Saturday started coming along. The rumors were getting hot, and then it was confirmed through somebody that Daniel Bryan was definitely showing up the next day. So that we knew. We expected it. I was just kind of like waiting for the villains to show up first during the main event.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the villains coming out, which happened to be the Good Brothers, I'm like, okay, all right, now I see something unfolding here. Like Daniel Bryan potentially coming to the save and what have you, which he did later on, and the crowd popped loud for it. Even though they expected it, they popped so freaking loud.
Yeah.
Chicago is such a great crowd, let me tell you.
It's a great wrestling town.
Great wrestling town for sure.
I'm in city. So.
I still really want to visit the Allstate Arena. I hope AEW does a show there.
Yeah,
for sure. I want to go there. It's an all-time classic building with WWE going there. WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 13, and 22. So and that building is not that big.
I thought 13 was the Rosemont Horizon. Unless if that's what the Allstate Arena is now.
I think it's the Allstate Arena is now.
Okay, let me look.
Yeah, I think because like when you're looking at the building,
it is the Allstate Arena.
It was okay because when you're looking at the building, you look to the left. There's like this small, like little, like water tower kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know what it is, and it says Rosemont on it. So I'm like, okay, this has to have been the original.
It's in. It's on like Rosemont.
Yeah, right over on Route 90 or Route 94, something like that. Yeah. Very easy to get to.
It changed from the roads. It changed in 1999.
Okay. So Daniel Bryan had a huge, monstrous pop, but everything went as I thought it was going to go, as I had talked about, except I wasn't expecting 2 big debuts.
No, I don't think anybody was.
I wasn't expecting 2. We knew we had an idea that Adam Cole was probably coming, but
it would be one or the other.
And some of the fans were saying, "Oh, Adam Cole will show up tonight." I'm like, I don't know. I know, like in my mind, I'm like, I know we're definitely seeing Daniel Bryan. I did not know what to get to. WWE would never do 2 big debuts like we saw.
Yeah, never.
It's been done though. It's been done back in 2000, I want to say, or 99 when the Radicals, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, they all showed up together, which was crazy.
Night after Mania 2000.
I don't know if it was after Mania, but that was a really, really crazy night. That had the Wrestling World buzz, and that was like, that could have been like the last straw to break WCW's back there.
Oh yeah.
Because WCW was a sick of shit there. They lost 4 major names there. That was a crazy time.
After the Rumble.
It was. I felt like it was earlier. It was in Houston, Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
I knew it was after a big show.
Yeah, and then right away they had Radicals versus Degeneration X, which I thought was freaking awesome. Like, man, that was an awesome time of wrestling. Yeah, but so this is probably the biggest I've seen since then. And again, otherwise, WWE never debuts multiple names at one shot, big names like that. But AEW, they did it. They pulled it off, and like it just kind of like happened so quickly.
Both, everybody, not both. Everybody, Ruby, Adam.
Yeah,
Punk got his.
When that crowd popped when Adam Cole came out, and then joining the Elite. And here I am thinking that this is gonna. I'm like, oh man, I guess Bryan's not coming after all. And then all of a sudden, his music hits, and the crowd just went nuts.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you something here, because I feel that there's the possibility we haven't seen Adam Cole in this role. At least I haven't. I've seen very, very little of his New Japan and Ring of Honor stuff. I've not seen Adam Cole really with the Elite from back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I'm always following the major stuff, the WWE, and now we're following WWE and AEW. So I honestly just haven't had a whole lot of time to really follow the indies. The New Japan occasionally when G1 comes around. But do you think that Adam Cole could get lost in the shuffle by being part of the Elite? Do you think there's a little bit of an overshadowing there?
I don't. I think one, and again, I'll make a reference to fantasy football just because it's, football's on right now. I always take somebody who's got the talent, and just think that the talent's going to outweigh the the talent's going to make the production. You're going to find them on the field if they're just that good. And I think with Adam Cole, he's just that damn good. I think he's arguably the best pro wrestler that I've seen in a very long time. I just don't see him getting lost in the shuffle, especially with guys that he's extremely close friends with. I feel like they'll find a way to work it out.
So how does the AEW Championship manage to find its way to Adam Cole eventually?
Oh well, they turn on each other.
We could do that.
If Omega gets the title back, they're turning on him. Somebody's turning. Adam Cole's turning on him. Or Adam Cole, maybe he sides with Hangman to get a match. Or I don't know, something like that.
Or maybe the title goes to, say, Hangman or Daniel Bryan, and then that opens up the opportunity for maybe Adam Cole to challenge for it without having to turn Omega necessarily and have Omega distracted by another feud. You could do something like that. I know Omega's been wrestling hurt for quite a while now, like just wrestling through injuries, and he wrestles like once a month, twice a month, but regardless, he's been defending his belt through injuries and having stellar matches too. But that's my only concern about, like, I just hope that this doesn't turn into, and I don't think it will, but if you've seen footage of Bret Hart leaving WWE, WWE's number one guy, and then going to WCW in a massive roster with big names already, big egos, and Bret Hart kind of just getting lost in the shuffle and kind of put on a back burner because people like Hall, Nash, Sting, man, maybe not as much Sting, but Luger, Flair, they all had to be the center of attention. There was no passing of the torch, so to speak.
Yeah.
Bret Hart was still in his prime. If he didn't get kicked in the head by Goldberg, Bret Hart would have been wrestling through 2004, 2005. But my point being is that Bret Hart kind of just got lost in the shuffle. Anyhow, so that's my concern for Adam Cole.
I understand that.
It looks like Daniel Bryan's going to get the title shot. He could to me, he seems like going to be the front runner to get a title shot, unless Hangman comes back. I mean, again, there was a plan for that, and they kind of just steered away from that.
I don't know why. It seems like the fans were kind of clamoring for it. But hey, maybe they'll know more than we do.
Yeah. Adam Cole debuts next week, by the way. I wonder who his opponent's going to be. They haven't made any announcement as to who his opponent is. It's going to be yet. But imagine we get Daniel Bryan versus Adam Cole. That would be pretty freaking sick. I don't know if they give us that match too soon, though.
They can't give that match.
So, one last question before we go off the air. We don't have a long show tonight. Where do we go from here? If you're AEW and you're the one booking this show and the storyline, where do we go from here with Daniel Bryan, Cole, and Punk? Where do we go with Punk? And one more thing we forgot to mention: MJF's promo last night. Oh my God! Talk about pushing the envelope.
Oh my God, he is terrible. And what he was saying was just so crazy. He is. Let me tell you, some people don't.
He is giving Long Islanders a bad reputation, by the way.
Yeah, he is the epitome of a fantastic heel. He is so damn good. It's incredible how bastardly and dastardly. I love the rhyme there that he can be, but man, he's the stuff he was saying last night was just like, oh, like your mom, or we won't repeat it, but schoolyard chatter, as the kids like to call it. They were getting pretty deep with it. I was pretty surprised.
Unbelievable. If we're not going to even discuss it, but you guys that are watching and listening, you need to go through MJF's promo from last night.
It's on AEW's YouTube page, but I will take a Brian Pillman Jr. title or push any day of the week.
For sure. I mean, even if you don't give him the win here, this is a nice little rub.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. So
yeah, he seems like generally a good dude.
Exactly.
But in real life though, he's had a tough. I'm sure he had a tough.
Yeah,
tough couple years, especially because he was about. Oh man, he had to have been like maybe around 4 or 5 years old at most when everything happened with his dad and his mom, and they were running crazy gimmicks out of that house with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Brian Pillman was nuts. We knew that, but it's unbelievable. But he's come a long way. He's one guy I'd definitely like to meet eventually, for sure. Just to pick his brain, maybe even getting him on the show a couple of years from now. Who knows? But anyhow, so tell me one last question. Where do we go from here? How do we book these? Yeah, how do we
booking in the next couple months?
Yeah, I mean, it could be up to full year or over the next couple months. So where do we go with Cole and Bryan and CM Punk?
Punk. Let's get him out of the way because he's my favorite, and I don't want it to sound too much bias. Oh man, if I could see Punk versus Moxley next month at Full Gear or in November, like talk about a match. I mean, oh yes. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I think it fits. I think Moxley is just that's the kind of guy. He doesn't need to defend his IWGP title at the pay-per-view. He can just have a big name match, and Punk's the guy to do it. Cole, I could see
with Punk, you got to believe he's probably going to, in between, at least between now and November, he's probably going to go through, a Ricky Starks, a Hobbs.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, I'll do a 6-man, with the Elite and Adam Cole, Young Bucks and Adam Cole versus Jurassic Express or something like that. I don't know. I don't think
I could see that. Yeah.
I don't know if they get their title shot in 2 months. I think that we see a new challenger at Full Gear. I think we see that title shot before, whether that's at Arthur Ashe or, who knows. Daniel, gosh, it's so tough to call because we don't know what's going on with Hangman.
Hangman, yeah.
I can see. If it's not Hangman, then Bryan's getting the title shot, but I don't think he's winning, which is kind of hard to say because I think now's the time to take the title off of him.
Yeah. Oh, and Dave Smith brought up the fact that we could see Cole versus Frankie Kazarian.
Hey, I'll be okay with it. I want to see Colt Cabana versus CM Punk.
I think they'll come around to that eventually.
I think they have to have made up at this point.
Yeah, because there's a huge story to be told there. Even if they're best friends now, they can still tell the story.
Also, he's like 45. Like, I'm pretty sure in the 7 years since that interview or whatever it's been, like,
yeah,
he's not that he's a grown up, older than me, but he just doesn't give a shit. Like, why waste a friendship that's been for that long over some podcast interview? Like, times pass, like I'm sure the wounds are healed and they've been talking for a while, like, and it just hasn't come out yet or something.
Yeah, I'm sure they squashed things even way before
exactly.
CM Punk even signed. So, Tommy, do you have anything else for us? I mean, nothing really going on in the WWE front except they have a huge SmackDown tomorrow, live from Madison Square Garden, which I'm not going to go to because I got work. But this actually would have been the show that I would have liked to have gone had I kind of knew the hype they were going to put behind it. We got Brock Lesnar coming back tomorrow. We got
return.
What's that?
I heard Cena was expected to be there.
That's interesting. Edge versus Seth Rollins.
Like on the you know how they will be like, oh, this person's scheduled to appear, like the arenas will release that information.
Okay, so it could
he was
be
put on there while he was like starting his feud with Roman to set up the SummerSlam match. So I don't know if he'll be there, but it's rumored. He was announced by Madison Square Garden's like publicity department.
It could be a dark match.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure he'll. Yeah, that probably more likely than not.
Worst case scenario. But we have Lesnar. We have Seth Rollins versus Edge, which is going to be another great match, and we have Street Profits challenging the Usos for their tag team titles.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty cool. And we got the development of Rey Mysterio and Edge. We've been talking about it for months. You heard it here first. That by, let's just say, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, they're going to feud father versus son and possibly retirement match. But so there's a lot of things. SmackDown is a lot more effort going into that show every week. I feel a little more invested than Raw for sure. And I'm honestly afraid to see what NXT looks like. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm a little afraid to see what it's going to look like. But that'll be a conversation for next week as we're getting closer to Extreme Rules. So I'm sure we'll have a prediction show for that of some sort. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for WWE. Nothing really significant happened this week on Raw to really ride home about. But SmackDown seems to be a little bit more entertaining right now, a little more compelling. So I'll definitely be watching that. Hey, listen, it's live from Madison Square Garden, so they're gonna have a good show. Madison Square Garden's their baby. But Tommy, anything else you want to add before we go off the air?
No, I think I'm good, man. I'm getting ready to run to the bathroom here.
Listen, to those of you guys that are watching and listening, thank you so much. Make sure you guys do the like, the share. Always feel free to comment when we're live, so this way we can interact with you guys. Make sure you share this with your friends and family. Make sure that they hit the subscribe button and that they're subscribed to our podcast. And let's help grow this thing. We have quite a bit of followers, but you guys are the one that kind of helps us push this along. So we need your help. So make sure you share this with your friends. Make sure they subscribe, and let's grow this thing. Right, Tommy?
Yeah, man, for sure. Got to keep moving, man. It's little by little.
That wraps up episode 72. And guys, just make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. We're available on Twitter. You can follow us during the week on iTunes to listen, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and more. Those of you guys that are watching, Tommy, you guys have an awesome night.